Hello everyone, this is East Dragon, and welcome back to another episode of Fire Emblem Heroes. This season, once again, we made it to Tier 39. Altina bonus definitely showing, so here we go. Funny enough, this week on defense, I decided let's not use our Thrasier, however the heck you want to pronounce her name. On defense, just because I felt like she didn't contribute much, and I would rather have legendary Celica missing kills than our good ol' Thrasier. We actually haven't even refined her weapon yet. Just don't use it. I don't even use her in general, so there's that. We have the old school rally trap memes. To take out some of their units turn 1 here. Still gets people, just because it's so uncommon nowadays that people don't expect it, or they just don't look at skills, so they just kind of do whatever. Unfortunately for us on offense, we really couldn't do whatever. Our main carry, of course, was Altina, and I was running her with Kaden for some buffing support. I started out with the wrong team loadout. I don't know what I was thinking. I was running 3 calves and 3 flyers, and I was running tactic skills. Like, what are you doing? Actual sabotage. So we had to change things up. I decided to put in legendary Celica because I knew I would have to deal with some annoying units where we need some strong kill power for, which is nice. But another funny thing about this defense here is the odd tempest means the meme strats only work at like every other turn, which is pretty hilarious. But the damage has been done here. We get the +1 movement from Legendary Sigurd, and Ascended Fion is no match for Legendary Lilna, and we get the extra movement all across the board, so it's absolute destruction. And that's a rip. So most of our offense matches is boiled down to, can we set up Vantage on Altina? There were a couple of instances where she was a little too tanky and couldn't get into Vantage range. So it wasn't terribly awkward because of her res-based damage reduction. She could still survive some attacks, but the main issue was surviving single attacks, especially from pre-charged specials. Surprisingly, wasn't as spooked about Deadeye as I should be, probably because even though I wasn't heavily investing into Altina's defense, the opposing units just didn't have enough attack to one-shot because of the bonus stats given the +10 HP, which is huge for bulk, and of course +4 defense and res. But yeah, Altina definitely put in a lot of work this season, survived some things that most of our other carries would not be able to handle. That was solid. I think the last match of the season, we really flexed on our opponent by doing our daily damage calcs, because they had double harmonized leaves, and clearly that's not with guard, of course, and then there's Arvel, of course, if you didn't need more guard. So I calced out that our Altina could one-round KO one of them, but because the other one was going to get danced by Mirror Bliss, and because of the stat lines, we were just going to miss out on the kill on Harmonized Leaf, and then so I needed to check if we could survive, and she barely could. Damage reduction for the win. So, unfortunately for our opponent, we were able to choose that way. I'm not sure what we would have done if we couldn't do that, but clearly the answer would be buffing her more forehead. But yeah, I did end up giving her max Dragon Flowers. The speed actually was funny for a couple. It didn't matter, but it was just funny having Altina quad some units to death. especially when they had guard, so we would still be able to proc Twin Blades even through the guard. Pretty silly, but again, there wasn't any actual point to doing that. We didn't need to do that. Here our opponent is just going to use Savior to force Mirrorless to hit end turn, and that gives them the time they need to grab the last heap of structure, which is pretty solid. Lots of daily damage calcs this season though, for sure, because the one thing about us and using end turn strategies is we like to know, are they actually going to survive? And in this particular case, this is a really strong initiation team because of guidance 4. It's pretty insane. very strong. We should totally do something like this, Kappa. We definitely have the resources available. Definitely have Ascended Tana available. But safe defense here going down, and safer. Actually, it's just safer. I don't actually know how safe defense works because we don't even have it built, so 10 out of 10. But for sure, Altina's remix certainly helped her a ton. I don't know about the plus 3 HP from refining, with the special refine. Not entirely sure if I like that or not, but she is definitely a super strong carry when you can set her up. And honestly, if I were to run like Brave Lysithia on offense with reciprocal shenanigans or something, or Ardent Sacrifice, we could reliably set up Vantage. But we still have to worry about the guard shenanigans. There's a lot of guard shenanigans around. So of course, there's Arvel, who can click the guard status in 3 columns centered around him. So there's that problem. We don't have Element to turn that off, of course. And it's not like it would matter too much. A lot of units have options to prevent specials from going off, but because of that, being in vantage range for Altina, I found, is not always the best thing, because she can miss kills since against guard units, if her Twin Blades is at 2 cooldown, she's only going to get to attack twice, and attack twice without any Twin Blades proc. Whereas if she can take a counter, or take an attack, then she is pretty much guaranteed to get Twin Blades off unless the opponent has tempo, and then there's guard somehow, so that's a pretty niche, fortunately, so we don't have to worry about that yet. But yeah, Altina bonus definitely helping out though. I was having her eat up pre-charge duochrome Deadeyes and stuff. It was pretty strong. She doesn't get as much defense as I would like, but it's better than nothing. She tanks pretty decently on the res side. There were some units that she just could not handle attacks from, because, for example, you have Legendary Veronica with the Desperation effect. That's kind of in our case, we were able to deal with that stuff because we have Caden support, so we could give guard indirectly to Altina, so that Legendary Veronica wouldn't be able to proc Enclosure, but yeah, of course, if Enclosure goes down. Altina, I did have my Altina survive 1, but it's not a reliable thing for us to do. And here our opponent, imagine missing the kill by 1. At least he got to attack twice, so there's that. And of course, no matter how much % base damage reduction you have, you can't reduce anything less than 1 damage, unless you're like Brave Dimitri and company, who have that flat damage reduction that scales off of one of their stats. As you can see, that was a weird half voice crack. As you can see, we're just getting steamrolled by end turn in pretty much every strategy in the book. That's pretty much how it goes. There's not really much to it. This seems to be some sort of a hybrid option team. I'm not sure what I think about the ones in Mercy, but of course here. Legendary Lilna is not ideal for hyper nuking and ether raids because of the AoE special. Her base AoE special only scales off of 0.8 times the difference between stats versus the blazing specials, which are whatchamacallit 1.5x. So it's if you don't want to think about it too hard, it's about twice as strong in terms of AoE damage, which is kind of a big deal. So I also do like the use of the IO shield, like whatchamacallit, status effect from, what's his name, Gilliam? Very strong with Brave Quad, because then that frees up a slot to cheese through things, and because of these kind of ranged tanks supported by a near save unit, you can, for example, stall out Mirabilis here and grab your ether structures all day long, which is pretty nice. And here, let's see if they close it out in one turn. Maybe. There we go. Alright, we got dual save, we got some miracle support from Ymir, and then of course we got Elamine to ruin her hopes and dreams. I'm kind of surprised in the past if you actually go through and look at the number of teams who brought Elamine against their defense, just how many of them didn't use Elamine at all turn 1, just because either A, it didn't matter, or they didn't care and then things happened. But here, of course, Gannigus is going to easily wall, even though he got hit by the AoE. And of course, rearmed Robin going to absolutely obliterate as well. Our only chance of picking up a kill is with Legendary Celica, and of course, she doesn't completely meme over damage reduction, so even though Luna went off there, she still couldn't kill. Of course, her attack stat wasn't great, but we don't worry about that. And well, Femordis isn't going to be doing anything anytime soon. He gets to do 1 damage at least. That gets immediately healed. At least Duma survives. Great job, Duma. I also didn't know that Ymir's ever-living domain wasn't at start of combat effect. So that's why people... Now I understand why people found it super garbage. I thought I was like, oh, it's okay, as long as you start above 75%. No, if you get like brave weapon attacked, or attacked by a brave weapon, the first attack drops you below 75%, well guess what, you're still gonna get absolutely obliterated, because, well, it only works if you're above 75% HP, which I don't read skill effects anymore, so 10 out of 10. I remember I used to casually know all the skills and all the units that had them and all that stuff, but in this day and age, I'm just kind of like, yeah, whatever, at this point. We're not too concerned about that. I've not seen Duo Marth at all since his refined, so I guess here he is. Let's see how well he does. We got ourselves the turn 1 trap activating. Classic tried and true memes. Surtur takes a huge chunk and just straight up cannot handle that. That's unfortunate, and same deal with Duo Marth, not too keen on AoEs there. So that's just a rip. At this point, Surtur's refinement has to be absolutely bonkers for him to come back into the meta, because of course his BST in this day and age is hot garbage for an armored hero, and of course he's super slow, so if you're super slow and you're in armor, you better have some ridiculous kill power and tank ability, or tank capabilities, same difference. At least here our opponent uses Elamine properly, so we don't have to deal with an AoE here. And I guess infantry pulse also doesn't work, which reduces the consistency of legendary Celica proccing AoE, but it doesn't matter because we get the extra mobility to snipe down for free. Pretty quick matches so far, it's basically we get absolutely destroyed or our opponent does. That's pretty much how it goes in our anima defense shenanigans. That all seems pretty straightforward. They're just going to be the... I wouldn't say hitting end turn there makes sense, because they didn't prevent the AoE from going down. And then of course the turn 1 means still go down. So of course, because Mur is blue and has her damage reduction, she's able to survive. It's just that they didn't prevent the turn 1 shenanigans from going down. And there, legendary Celica barely picks up the kill. And so the problem here is definitely going to be... What? Okay, I would not have done that. That's for sure. That's just more kills for us. And that just means Mur loses all of her support, and it's not like Dual Lin's going to be 1v1ing for Mortis anytime soon. Yeah, it's just a 0 times 2. Remember when Dual Lin was meta? Good times. He's still okay, great for picking off standard nukes and whatnot, but of course he doesn't have enough attack to pick up kills against super tanks. But here we are, an interesting season. We started fine, then we just kept losing as expected, and then we ended out with successes. Not entirely sure how that happened, but here we are. Overall, of course, defense, Carbo showing, but don't care. Probably not going to be top 3k. It could be, but I doubt it. Resonant battles, of course, pretty straightforward. First time we actually have reasonable units to use for Fire Emblem engage bonus, so definitely pretty solid, pretty straightforward there. Allegiance battles, also not even close. Very close to not being top 1k at this point during Windfire. So I don't know. I don't think we'll really care if we miss out on top 1k. It'll break our top 1k streak, and oh man, we lose out on 10 Dragon Flowers. Yeah, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Arena though, boy oh boy, because of the new mechanics with the legendary hero shenanigans, the scoring's pretty intense. Like 3,000. This is a 4 756s and 1 758, and it's probably because a bunch of casual players just have single copies of legendary Yuri, so they can abuse blessings and score without having to fish. And so derpy derp. I actually wasn't paying attention at all. Didn't realize that Lucius was here as bonus, so I ended up building Sharena. I gave her Death Blow 4, and then I gave Duma Rally Attack Defense Plus. We have plenty of dual Rally plus fodder now, so that's not a big deal. And it almost maxes out his score. We still need a 300 SP B slot, but it was insanely hard for her to pick up kills. I had to do some really ridiculous things, like cleverly chip down a Brave Adult Tiki so that Sharena could 2-tap her. Pretty hard stuff. Yeah, but definitely would not want it to run this season with Legendary Sigurd and Wind Blessings. That would have been abysmal. But Lucius here, super piece of cake, did not struggle on any of the matchups at all. I was doing this Miracle Renewal meme where I would charge up Miracle and then just heal back up to full, recharge Miracle so I could chip down a lot of units that way. And of course with his massive attack stat and the foe cannot make a follow-up attack status shenanigan, he's able to tank a good amount of stuff and nuke a ton of stuff. Like, it was hidden in the, what is it? in the 80s, 90s in attack, which for most of our units that are bonus is not going to be the case. So that was pretty nice, but a lot of fishing. So hopefully that stays. That better stay. That'd be very jank if. Imagine needing all 758s to stay or something. Just to, or not to stay, to get up to tier 21. Goodness me. Anyways, we'll be back when the results drop in.